Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Hello everyone, thanks again for joining us here at KAKM for Saturday's edition of Alaska Weather. Up first, some record highs here set for today. Kodiak reached 70 degrees this afternoon. That broke the old records of 68 set in 2003. Valdez hitting 73 this afternoon, breaking the 65-degree mark that was set back in 2005. And Homer, 68, 1 degree higher than the old record of 67 that was set way back in 1959. And looking at the fire danger map here, areas of high fire danger up over the northern upper Yukon valleys and through the central interior, central Tanana Valley, pretty high fire dangers yet, and then some areas here over toward the North Waytok area, and still some high fire dangers there over the Copper River Basin as well as the northern Kenai Peninsula areas. Moving on to the satellite imagery here yesterday, this is the area of clouds that brought all the rain across the Copper River Basin, and some pretty good wetting and nearly soaking rains occurring from the Tanana Valley down across in toward the Wrangell Mountains. That's why there wasn't any extreme fire danger on the chart today there, but not a bad day, just some variable clouds over the southeast coast, and then the storm system out here to the west, with the main front, the gale force winds here shifting in toward the central Aleutians, with the main push going up to the north there. Starting to see the hints here, even though some bands of moisture were moving eastward here into the southwest interior, as well as up along the northern Arctic coast, kind of starting to clear out the hints of the beginning of a building ridge of high pressure, which shows up much more vividly on today's loop right through this area. This is all just high-level cirrus here, and then you get into some more altocumulus mid to high level clouds back to the north and back to the west, and then the lower stuff out along the coastline there. Kivalina just 3 miles in fog this afternoon. Drizzle, low clouds, areas of fog all day occurring at Nome, and then low clouds down along the southwest coast, and over the inland areas began to burn back this afternoon. And then we had gale force winds extending from the central Aleutians here northward right across St. Lawrence Island through the Bering Strait all the way up to the western Arctic coast, and the main low center back here moving northward, and then some clouds here spreading into the northern southeast coast, some sunshine down over the central and southern areas, and a few showers here off the coast, some isolated showers in over the or over toward the border areas, but nothing that amounted to very much at all. Sunshine down Kodiak Island, again setting that record high for the date today, and sunshine all along the North Gulf Coast. Most of the Gulf of Alaska you can see clear skies, the low clouds way down to the south here with that high pressure in over the interior, lower pressure, those northerly winds gusting up to 25 miles per hour, Valdez and in Resurrection Bay at Seward this afternoon. Pushing that low cloud deck way to the south, and then these isolated showers occurring along the southeast coast there with the remnants of that upper level system that brought the rain over the southeast interior. That's kind of dropped down into that area now, but really not the rain producer it was when it was back up in this area yesterday. And out to the west here, gale force winds again over the central Aleutians, 25 gusts, 35 miles per hour up across the St. Lawrence Island area. And Tin City seeing gusts of 50 miles per hour earlier today, and in the case of Cape Lisburne, they had a couple of wind gusts up around 60 miles an hour, and then it drops back here as you head back along the coast. Lighter winds along the eastern Arctic coast there, but some clouds in areas there along the north slope, especially back to the west, and then the high-level cirrus right through here. Still mostly sunny conditions, but a pretty strong area of high pressure in over interior Alaska will hold and shift a little bit to the east tonight. That'll keep some gusty winds, especially through the northern bays and passes of the Panhandle there with 30-knot northerly winds forecast for northern Lynn Canal. That'll keep the skies mostly clear up here to the north, but still this moisture working its way westward there out of Canada will keep a chance of showers in over the central and southern southeast coast, especially over toward the Canadian border areas. Otherwise, clear skies for Kodiak Island, clear skies for the North Gulf Coast. Clear skies for Prince William Sound all the way up, and then a few showers are possible there along the eastern north slope areas with a risk of a shower over the Brooks Range. Then some surges of moisture riding in on that southwest flow, kind of skirting along the western Arctic coast there. So the chance of light rain or drizzle there for the Barrow area back down toward Point Lay, Point Hope, Cape Lisburne, same thing. Same thing as today, going on again tonight here for the western Seward Peninsula from about Nome on out and around to Tin City and Teller. In those areas, the main front, we've got gale warnings out here from the central Aleutians tonight, north through the Bering Sea, gales across St. Lawrence Island, gale warnings out through the Bering Strait, and gale warnings out across the Chukchi Sea, all the way up to Point Franklin there on the western Arctic coast tonight. The band of rain extending from Gamble here southward west of the Pribilof, so just some clouds there, but rain and fog down to Adak and Atka, more showery out toward Shemya. High pressure in over Bristol Bay. The low cloud deck today burning back toward the coastline this afternoon. Probably won't redevelop too farther inland tonight as wind flow becomes a little more northeasterly in the lower levels, so that'll keep it clear over northeast Bristol Bay tonight. And for tomorrow, that looks pretty good here. Should be VFR skies with, or clear skies, VFR flying conditions here, with still looking at the low clouds there and that onshore flow on the Bering Sea side of the Alaska Peninsula. So some marginal VFR on this side, but VFR conditions on the south side, Sandpoint, Chignik, Kodiak. VFR tomorrow, no clouds at all, just clear skies, all of the North Gulf Coast. Same thing here. Offshore flow, temperatures will be warmer, looking at highs tomorrow, 70s to lower 80s with some lower 80s in the Susitna, Matanuska Valley areas, and then 70s to lower 80s, or at least the mid to upper 70s here through the central interior back to the Kuskokwim Valley areas. And then up along the Arctic coast there, one surge of moisture associated with that trough, bringing that chance of rain mostly to the eastern Arctic coast tomorrow. And of course, there'll be some lower flying conditions with that, but better VFR back to the west. No change there, still some moisture, gusty winds continuing, gale force winds, especially early in the day, but you can see the gradients beginning to slacken here for the Seward Peninsula back to St. Lawrence Island, as well as the Aleutians here, with this warm front keeping a chance of rain in the forecast there from about Adak over west to maybe Shemya and extending northwest, keeping Gamble in the threat of some light precipitation with low clouds and fog, again up into Norton Sound, southern coast of the Seward Peninsula, but Nunivak Island kind of right on the edge of things there, and then this northeast wind flow coming around that high that's now off the coast, making pretty good flying conditions for tomorrow. And for the southeast coast, northeast winds, same sort of pattern, temperatures, some areas rising into the mid to high 70s over the northern panhandle. To the south, more clouds and the risk of some showers, even a chance of afternoon thunderstorms there over the southern southeast coastal areas. Temperatures are for Monday down there, still a risk of a shower here extreme south as that low upper disturbance pulls into this position, and this trough will be rotating northward there, so just a chance down towards the Annette Island, Metlakatla areas, possibly Ketchikan, but to the north, sunny skies, temperatures quite warm, and the warmest conditions will be here over the central and southern interior, looking for highs all through this area with sunshine on Monday running 75 to 85 degrees here. Still back to the north there with the high pressure retreating back to the west. Several disturbances rotating around the northern perimeter of that brings a chance of showers to the central and western Arctic coast. Down toward Kivalina, should be dry Kotzebue. Definitely look for some clearing. More in the way of some sunshine for the Seward Peninsula, especially from White Mountain over toward Nome, but St. Lawrence Island still in the low clouds and fog. Pribilof Islands, low clouds, but this area of dry conditions advancing with those northeast winds should be quite warm here across the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, down into Bristol Bay. Low clouds and fog, the Alaska Peninsula. Then another system bringing some rain into the central and western Aleutians with east winds 15 to 25 miles per hour. And temperatures down along the southeast coast today ranged from 62 at Juneau to 73 at Skagway, 58 at Sitka, 59 down at Klawock with a 63-degree reading at Petersburg. Along the North Gulf Coast, Cordova pushed up to 73 this afternoon and 74 at Seward at observation time, but they reached 75 today. That wasn't a record. The record for Seward was 81 some years back. 72 there for Anchorage this afternoon, 66 at Gulkana. 71 in the Susitna Valley there at Talkeetna. Be at least 10 degrees warmer than that tomorrow, and even maybe a few degrees warmer on Monday over that. So a couple of days in the 80s here coming up for the Susitna and Matanuska Valley areas, and even some of the inland areas of the Kenai Peninsula. But temperatures up to the north in the Tanana Valley, lower to mid-60s today, a little cooler back to the north and west where there's more cloud cover and a deeper marine layer, but 66 at Fort Yukon, 55 at Anaktuvuk, 43 degrees up at Barrow, but with more of a southwest offshore flow here, temperatures pushing up to near 60 at Dead Horse, and Nuiqsut 42 over at Point Lay with some light rain occurring there, 43 at Cape Lisburne, 41 degrees at Kivalina with a 58-degree reading at Buckland, 52, a little cooler there at Kotzebue. Tanana 64 this afternoon, Galena 58, up to 68 at McGrath, 63 at Sleepmute, 59 down at Bethel. Temperatures range from the upper 40s here over eastern Norton Sound to the lower to mid 50s along the Yukon Delta coast. St. Mary's at 49 degrees, 52 down at Makoriak there on Nunivak Island. And out in the Bering Sea, mid to upper 40s here for the Pribilof Islands, and temperatures along the Alaska Peninsula in the lower to mid 50s, but again, Chignik up to 61, 66 in King Salmon, should be well into the 70s there tomorrow, 65 currently, or at 4 p.m. there at Kodiak, and then temperatures in the 40s out over the Bering Sea. Lows tonight, upper 40s to mid 50s here for the southeast coast, and mostly in the 40s to lower 50s across southern Alaska. A little milder here back to the southwest, up to the north, 40s for the Tanana Valley. Some areas here from the Eagle Toknor dropping down in toward the 30s or into the 30s with 40s back to the north. Arctic coast upper 30s to near 40 over the north slope, and then mid 30s to lower 40s here over the northwest coast. And then for highs tomorrow, looking well into the 70s here to the central interior valleys, even up in toward Anaktuvuk, forecasting 71 degrees there over the Brooks Range, and 76 for Bettles. Up along the Arctic coast, temperatures in the upper 40s to lower 60s with mid 50s to near 70 here over the Kobuk Valley areas back out toward Kotzebue Sound. McGrath up near 80 degrees tomorrow, into the lower 80s for the Susitna Matanuska Valley areas. Mid 70s Copper River Basin, mid 70s here, mid to upper 70s here for the Kenai Peninsula areas, and even back to near 70 again for Kodiak Island. Even the coastal areas back into the 70s tomorrow. 71 the forecast high for Yakutat, and up to 77 there for Juneau. A little cooler, but still pushing 70 degrees there over the southern southeast coast, again with a risk of a thunderstorm in the afternoon hours. Looking at flying weather, we've got good VFR tomorrow. Again, the area marginal VFR kind of passing by the eastern Arctic coast there, but VFR back to the west, all the way down here into the Gulf of Alaska. Again, good VFR conditions, North Gulf Coast, just like today, Kodiak Island, more so here over Bristol Bay, and marginal VFR hugging the coastline there, the Yukon Delta. Again, Nunivak Island right on the edge with marginal conditions up to the western Seward Peninsula, and then back catching catching Point Hope and Cape Lisburne. So Kivalina may be VFR tomorrow, definitely will be for Kotzebue Sound. Then a big area IFR here from St. Lawrence Island south, west of the Pribilofs, all the way down into the central Aleutians, improving back towards Shimia. The Alaska Peninsula, same pattern as today. Lower conditions on the Bering Sea side, VFR to the south, and then this area marginal VFR should stay off the south coast there, so VFR from Dixon Entrance all the way up into Lynn Canal. For passes, all VFR for the Brooks Range, both tomorrow and Monday as well. Lake Clark and Merrill, 2 more days of VFR flying conditions. Rainy, windy, VFR. Isabel, both north and south entrances of Mentasta and Isabel will be VFR. Tanita, VFR. Portage, VFR. And Chilkoot and White remaining open for at least another couple of days. Freezing levels showing 10,000 feet here, all the way up to the north. A little bit higher than it was. 32 degrees occurred at 9,500 feet over Anchorage this afternoon, and it'll be closer to 10,000 feet by tomorrow morning. A little cooler here back over the eastern interior areas, but you got to go all the way back to the Russian Far East to find any cooler temperatures. And looking at the icing threats, really none significant. Some passing areas of possible icing there along the Arctic coast, and then possibly here some hit and miss areas in the showers that develop or may happen to develop here over the southern southeast coastal areas, especially with the chance of thunderstorms. Otherwise, a band here from the central Aleutians northward into the Russian Far East. And looking at the winds aloft here, upper level high pressure over the southwest interior tomorrow, northeast wind flow down across southern Alaska. That's going to bounce those temperatures up considerably there, especially south of the Alaska Range. Upper level low sitting now parked off these Queen Charlottes. That brings that chance of showers, isolated thunderstorms into the southern panhandle. And then the low out here to the west. The whole thing will be kind of retreating back to the west over the next several days. So it's going to stay on the warm side. 9,000-foot winds, northerlies 10 to 20 over southern Alaska. That strong fetch still going here over the northern Bering Sea and the western Arctic coast up to 40 knots. Same thing at 3,000 feet southwest flow. 35 to 45 knots right up to about Point Lane, then lightening up over the eastern Arctic coast. North to south winds again making for hot conditions over southern Alaska and the northern panhandle. Turbulence-wise, not too much, except up here in the northwest where the winds are blowing from Point Lay down through the Bering Strait to St. Lawrence Island below 5,000 feet, and some moderate chop still likely there for the central Aleutians. And after the break, I'll be back to look at the marine forecasts.
Welcome to another edition of Alaska Weather Facts. I'm meteorologist Dave Snider, and joining us once again is our good friend Eric Stevens from GINA, the Geographic Information Network of Alaska. He is here and has been here many times to talk to us about weather satellites and how those can help Alaskans understand our weather, how we can do better detection, keep more people safe from things even like volcanic ash. But today, Eric, you're going to talk to us a little bit more about weather satellites and how that can keep Alaskans safe and protect our property from wildfire, right?
That's right, Dave. Today's topic is where there's smoke, there's fire. And thanks for having us back again to Alaska
Anytime.
Weather. Well, weather satellites have a lot of different instruments on them. It turns out that the electromagnetic spectrum has a lot going on in it, and only one part of that is visible light, what we see.
Right.
Weather satellites, of course, report that. Today's topic is wildfires.
Okay.
There are some people who say that in Alaska in the summertime you don't have severe weather. These people are usually from Oklahoma or somewhere, and F5 tornadoes tend not to occur in Alaska.
Right.
People have also said what we do have in the summer. What is Alaska's severe summer weather can be hydrology,
Right.
flash flood and erosion in the mountains and things like that, and fires, wildfires.
Absolutely.
Those were here in 2004, certainly remember that. We've got an example here from 2014. Now, it was a quiet season overall, but in May, down on the Kenai Peninsula, we had a wildfire on the Funny River, and this is a satellite image from a satellite, a polar orbiter that went right over Alaska, and we can see the plume of smoke coming out of that fire on the Kenai, curling down. It's caught in the wind. It goes down toward Kodiak Island, curves around. You can see it circulating around a low pressure system that's in the Gulf of Alaska.
It was a beautiful picture.
Oh my gosh.
Except there was a fire.
There's a fire there. The nice thing is with this satellite image, you can tell where the fire origin is, where the smoke is coming from. And it's a color image. We're looking at the wavelength spectrum of about 0.4 to 0.7 micrometers or microns. That's what the human eye would see. If you were riding on the satellite and looked down, you could see this kind of an image. So that's pretty nice. But it turns out there's more to the electromagnetic spectrum than just visible light. You've heard of infrared, ultraviolet, that kind of thing. If we move into longer wavelengths, let's go to one specifically, 3.7 micron.
Okay, 3.7.
Why worry about that one? Well, we've got an example here. 3.7, it turns out, happens to be very sensitive to a certain temperature range, temperatures where fires burn.
Okay.
And so we've got an example zoomed in a little more from that same Funny River fire down on the Kenai Peninsula, and we can see that you get up into a few hundred degrees Fahrenheit, and that's where the colors are. We can see there on the Funny River fire to the west and to the east, almost a horseshoe shape there, is not only we're seeing where the fire is in a general sense, but specifically where it's the active fire
That is where
front.
it's burning right now.
And it's 3.7 microns is the important temperature there.
Okay.
That's right.
So this is really important to firefighters on the ground, people that are making plans and directing the firefighters on where they need to go and cut the trenches and keep people safe.
You know it. If you want to fight that fire, you got to know where it is. You got to know the leading edge. We've also got a movie loop, nothing quite like animating it in time. You can see the fire spreading out over time with a succession of film or a succession of images. Now this is one channel, 3.7 micron. You know, we looked at that color smoke image before. And that's actually a red, a green, and a blue. That's how you get color imagery. What if you took 3 different wavelengths in the infrared? You went from like 2.2 micron, 1.5 micron, up to 3.7. You mix them together, you get this other kind of color image, which is even a better way to sharply bring out the details of where that leading edge of the fire is.
Okay.
You'll note, though, in the infrared, guess what? We don't see the smoke. That's too bad. And on these movie loops, you can see the clouds go by. These channels can't see through clouds. The lesson is there's no one perfect solution. You got to have the visible, you got to have some of that infrared single 3.7 channel, some of the infrared mixing to help get a different perspective. Another one, we've talked before about a fun channel called the day-night band.
Yes, one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, and in Alaska in the winter, it's great. We've got all this darkness. The day-night band is so sensitive to seeing light. You can see features that otherwise aren't available. Now in Alaska, when you have a forest fire, it tends to be light out all the time. It's our summer. But we can go down south to the Rim Fire in California in 2013. Now, okay, it was in California, not Alaska, but Alaskan crews went down to fight that fire, so we can talk about it here on Alaska Weather. Here we have a 3.7 micron channel shot of the rim fire, again, kind of a horseshoe shape, showing that active fire front down there. And then we'll look again to the day-night band, the visible light, and then you can see how the fire is all bright. You can see the active fire front and actually the city lights over there too. Turns out that the cities, while they're active in a social sense, are not really hot in a fire sense. So they don't show up in the 3.7 micron. They're not hot like a fire is, but the fire in the cities look the same from a visible light perspective. And a fun thing here too is that we can see the smoke plume going north from the rim fire on the day-night band. So if we were ever to have, like in 2004 in Alaska, you get dark at night, we still had an active fire season that year. That was, you know, that really bad year. The day-night band didn't exist then, but if we had fires now in August, we could use it then. The lesson here is weather satellites, they offer many different wavelengths of light. Some are used for different purposes, and some of these we just looked at tonight are especially helpful here in Alaska to find and to track the behavior of these wildfires so the crews can go out there and do their jobs.
Sure. So a satellite toolbox for the firefighting crews and the fire weather forecasters, and it just underlines how important satellites are, especially for Alaska and our mission for the National Weather Service to protect life and property, and also to enhance the national economy. So wonderful stuff there, Eric. And people can look at pictures like this anytime by going to gina.alaska.edu. You'll find images there all around Alaska at various times of the year, and not just about fire weather, but volcanic ash and smoke and anything else you want to check out. They're always beautiful pictures and always interesting to look at no matter what time of the day. Thanks again for joining us, Eric. We appreciate it and welcome you back anytime. For this edition of Alaska Weather Facts, I'm meteorologist Dave Snider. See you next time.
Welcome back again. Southerly winds, warm temperatures continue to melt the Kotzebue Sound ice out there, and it's still forecast to become sea ice free by Monday. Otherwise, onto the coast or onto the marine forecast, northerly winds 30 knots, northern Lynn Canal, higher gusts here over the northern bays and passes areas with 20 knots for Stevens Passage, northwest 15 for Clarence Strait. Northerly winds here along the coast 10 to 20 knots, strongest up here to the north, where there was a small craft advisory today. And then for Monday, bringing the winds down a little bit here, but still small craft advisories for northern Lynn Canal. No change for the central inside waters, northerlies at about 15 there. And then kind of a west-southwest wind here, 10 to 15 knots, light for the south coast, northerlies up to 20 for the north coast. And for Prince William Sound tomorrow, north winds at about 10 knots with North Gulf Coast looking light and variable here all the way back to the Barren Islands, and they turn northwest at 15, and that extends up into Kamishak Bay. Northwest 15 there, also across Kodiak Island. Cook Inlet light winds variable to northeast at about 10 knots with seas running 2 to 3 feet. And then for Monday, a lot of light variable winds here all around Kodiak Island. Light variable winds at 10 knots with seas 2 to 3 feet. The North Gulf Coast, a couple of really light wind days here coming up there with those light winds at 10 knots or less and seas down to 2 to 3 feet. Northwest at 10 for Prince William Sound. Northerly winds for Cook Inlet 10 to 15 knots here right down into Kamishak Bay. And for Bristol Bay, northwest at 15, that continues southwest to Kodiak Island. Northeast 15 on the Pacific side, or the Bering Sea side of the peninsula, northwest 15 to the south. And then light variable winds at 10 knots from Sitkinak here all along the Pacific side of the Alaska Peninsula. On the Bering Sea side, winds will be northwest at about 15 with seas running 3 to 5 feet. Out in the Aleutians for the Fox Islands, southeasterlies only at about 15 knots tomorrow. Otherwise, small craft advisories here for the central Aleutians and back to the west. Light variable winds out for the western zone there. And then on Monday, easterly winds 25 to 30 knots, so small craft advisory extending in over the western to the central Aleutians here, Adak and Atka. Easterlies 20 to 25 knots, stronger in the southern zone. East winds 20 knots, dropping back to north variable to north winds for the Fox Islands, only at about 10 knots, with seas running 4 to 5 feet there, but up to about 10 feet here back to the west. And along the southwest coast, northwest winds at 15. South of Nunivak Island, southwest 20 knots. North of Nunivak Island, gales out for tonight and tomorrow. For St. Lawrence Island, southerlies 35 knots, 13-foot seas. South winds 30 knots with the northern Bering Sea. Again, gale warnings out tonight for that area too, but coming down a little bit tomorrow. Southeast 20 with 7-foot seas for the Pribilofs. And then for Monday, lighter winds everywhere, not even small craft advisories, north to west here, 15 knots for the southwest coast, northeast 15 for the Pribilofs. Up along the Arctic coast, west to southwest 15 on the east side, small craft advisories for the central coast, gale force southerlies here from Wales all the way up to Cape Beaufort, with Point Franklin seeing gale force winds, and then the small craft advisories. And the outlook for Monday, 30-knot winds, still pretty brisk back here to the west, and the east side there kind of variable, westerlies to southerlies at about 20 knots. And for tonight, again, a risk of some showers here over the southern panhandle, otherwise clear and dry. Dry with mild conditions here through much of the interior, with light winds, a little gusty here along the coast back over, as I mentioned, into Lynn Canal. Chance of showers up over the north slope areas. Gales out for the central Aleutians all the way up to Point Franklin on the western Arctic coast. That begins to diminish tomorrow. Chance of rain back to the west. Sunny and hot conditions, 70s to lower 80s here through the interior valleys, and the panhandle about the same, just a little cooler, but a risk of a thunderstorm down to the south. And then another hot day coming up on Monday, 75 to 85 about sums it up for the central and southern interior, 70s all the way up possibly into the eastern Brooks Range, and a warm up here along the southwest coast, more rain out in the Aleutians. Have a great evening.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.